I'm here with Evan Harrison, the CEO of Kiss the Ground. Welcome, Evan.
Thanks for having me.
Tell us a little bit about Kiss the Ground. I know people may have seen the documentaries on Netflix, but give us the whole story.
Yeah, so Kiss the Ground was formed almost 11 years ago. And Rylan Engelhart, who's one of the co-founders with Phineas Makepeace, Karen Rodriguez, they were in the service industry. Rylan's parents started a vegan restaurant called Cafe Gratitude. And he met a lot of like-minded people through that, and wound up in a conversation with some really smart people, hearing them speak about, can humans sustain life on the planet? And the net takeaway was a lot of doom and gloom from many folks, and then someone spoke about regenerative agriculture as a solution. And they went back to, they gathered in Venice Beach and said, nobody's talking about this. And this is 11 years ago. How come nobody's talking about this? And they decided they needed to start a nonprofit organization and talk about soil health as a viable solution to all the problems we face today, which, think about it, they were debated whether these issues were as severe at the time: our climate, our wellness, our water, all crises that really are not up for debate at this point. And at the time, nobody was really talking about it in a very pronounced sense. So they organized around it. They formed a 501c3, or audience-supported nonprofit, and they just started telling stories about regeneration as a viable solution for these issues, and gained some momentum. And they convinced some filmmaker friends of theirs to tell the story, and Josh and Rebecca Tickell helped create and direct the first film, which launched on Netflix. Took 7 years to create, and it really paid homage to the work of Kiss the Ground, and that really put the movement on the map in a whole new way, and that was in 2020.
I think what you mentioned, solutions, and I think what people resonate with is that, there, as you say, there's a lot of doom and gloom, but when people actually see that there are solutions, they're being implemented, people, real farmers, real restaurants, real players in the space are adopting new practices, that sort of gets people's adrenaline going for solutions.
Hopeful inclusion and inspiration was really paramount and at the core of what the Kiss the Ground was and is. And the name is after the words of Rumi. There are hundreds of ways to kneel and kiss the ground. So everybody's going to approach it from a different angle, which by definition necessitates inclusion in the movement. And that's really been the backbone of it. And the stories, be it the film, which has been seen by 10 million worldwide, or the short films that Kiss the Ground's been creating for quite some time, the educational material that's been taken by thousands of people who have gone on to advocate. The one word people use that they take away from the experience is inspiration, and oftentimes followed with hopefulness.
Right, but also some practical solutions. I know there's one that we saw last night about a farmer growing traditional row crops, but improving his soil and improving his yield and lowering the pesticides and making a business case for it.
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up. Last night I played our mini doc series called Stories of Regeneration, and we have released 3 this year. We started with a farmer in Southern California who really approached the challenge of, okay, I have a bunch of restaurants. I want to make sure that I am bringing the best ingredients to the restaurant. And then there's these food scraps. How can I use that as compost to then, feed the system and continue to grow more nutrient-dense foods? So that was the first story that really resonated with, people in a very deep way. Hundreds of thousands of people watched that film. We then went on and told the story of a first-generation farmer named Yadi Wang, who took desertified land in just near Tucson and applied some regenerative practices, and now that's some lush regenerative land with some amazing outputs. And then what we shared last night took a bit of a turn, and we looked at the life of a commercial farmer with a farm on the East Coast the size of, literally the size of Los Angeles, with your traditional crops. So he has soy, he's got corn, wheat, barley, And
Things you don't often associate with regenerative ag.
that's correct. And what he talked about in the film was, hey, whether you know it or not, my produce goes to chicken feed. Therefore, if you eat chicken, there's a good chance you are consuming what I grow, and it also goes to your pet food. So therefore, so is your beloved dog or cat, and I am changing the way I'm doing things. I'm doing a trial. I've got some on-the-ground help with understanding ag, and I've got some help in telling the story. So hopefully it will inspire others.
So the theory of change, if I take it, is that if you can change people's sort of imagination and expectations of what's possible and make them feel like they can be part of the solution, that somehow that will kind of replicate and spread through the ecosystem, and then the whole food system will change. I mean, how are all the links connected?
Yeah, I mean that's a big part of it. What I would say is that you really hit on is hopefulness and inspiration, as opposed to the other. We really look at it as there's three ways that have to be approached all at the same time, and they blend together really nicely and then activate change. The first one is consumer awareness. So 94% or 96% of the U.S. adult population does not know that regenerative agriculture exists as a viable solution for a climate, wellness, and water crisis. So they don't even know it exists. So we have to tell that story in a whole host of different ways. The amazing documentaries created by the Tickels are a massive, it's a change maker in the movement that gives a big groundswell to the movement. But there's a huge audience that likes to scroll through Instagram Reels and TikTok, and that's a very important audience. So we're telling short form stories there to simply let them know that this exists. And some of them may never go deep, and that's fine as long as they have heard of regenerative agriculture, if they remember Kiss the Ground, Solution for Climate, Wellness, Water. If we get that in, that's a great start. The next area is education. For those who do want to go deeper and really learn, while a documentary is great, everybody leaves the documentary saying, well, what can I do? And that's where the practical resources come in. So in our education program, we have dozens and dozens of free resources. So anything you Google that comes down to practical solutions will come to the surface there. And then for those who want to go deeper than just scrolling through free resources, we offer on-demand training courses. We have a soil advocate training class, which is 8 hours of learnings. And a lot of people have taken that class, 5,000 people have taken that class and gone on to really go at solving this problem in a way that makes the most sense for them. And then working with businesses is the third part. So through education, you then breed advocacy, and that advocacy can take form going to DC and really making sure that the Farm Bill, which comes up every 5 years, contemplates regenerative practices and getting funding to come around. So when you have consumer demand and then you have advocates who can help impact policy change, that's two of the three, what I consider two of the three main pillars. The third being businesses. And this all comes down to personal and professional responsibility. I believe now if you have a company that has more than 500 people at it and you want to attract and or retain really employees under the age of 35, they're going to ask, well, what are you doing? What are we doing to make the world a better place? What is our ethos? What are we doing for the environment? Whether it's a financial company or it's a company that's in packaged goods and actually sources from farming and from agriculture, there still needs to be a conversation there. And we're offering our services to educate and inspire companies from within. A lot of people say, big companies, it's all greenwashing, and our take there is big companies are very hard to change from inside, and we'd rather partner, get inside, and help them with that change, because I believe there are people with great intentions at most companies, if not all, and they just need some help changing the culture and changing the dialogue.
We're here at an event called In Community with Food, and there's a lot of practitioners of regenerative ag and experts of various sorts. Why is a gathering like this important?
Gatherings like this fire us all up. It's like minds, but back to the hundreds of ways to kneel and kiss the ground. everybody's coming at it from a different vantage point. And over dinner and, after a couple of drinks, people who spoke yesterday came up to me, want to make sure they didn't say anything that rattled me or offended me. And I just had to laugh because when you have so many people that have, I'm a newbie. I've been in this movement for less than 2 years. I'm soaking it all in. And I'm trying to apply common sense and apply some creative marketing and storytelling skill set to it. But what I have found is there's a lot of disagreement in the early stages of movement, and that's very healthy. I was in the early stages of digital in the entertainment industry, and there was a lot of debate about what the right lossless file is, what the right compression rate is, a lot of geeking out over a lot of the detail. And I find here, while there's a lot of different opinions and people coming at it from a different angle, in the end, you see a lot of facial expressions when people offer a different perspective and willingness to take it in. And to me, that's the greatest thing, is there are vantage points. Everybody here shows respect for one another because everybody has respect for one another. So everybody comes in with ego in check. We're already here because we're in it together, and everybody here is doing great things. And the guard is down a little bit, and the willingness to learn from what others have to say is the most inspirational part to me. While everybody gets all fired up and leaves, it's so important that we don't all try and do too much with it, and we just take a couple of follow-up steps and evolve our thinking and evolve our action.
Well, what are the next follow-up steps? What's next for Kiss the Ground?
For Kiss the Ground, we've got a plan, and we're going to keep doing what we do. For anybody who wants to partner with Kiss the Ground for a consumer, just go to kisstheground.com. Watch the stories, engage where you feel inspired to engage. Take a course if you're inspired to be an advocate. And if you work for a company where you feel we could be of help in driving change in the conversation, in the narrative, and in the company's approach to really supporting, or even just learning before supporting about regenerative agriculture as a viable solution for the crisis that we all need to pay attention to, then we could help.
Great. Evan Harrison, thank you so much.
Thanks a lot.